Hello everyone, I am Nidhi Raja. Today I will help you explore the top 7 most challenging behavior interview questions that Scrum Master may face. So let's dive in. So let's start with first question. So the first question is, describe a time when you had to handle a situation where the product owner frequently prioritized new features over bug fixes, resulting in technical debt accumulation and delayed development and testing due to crashes. So how did you address these issues in the short and mid-term? So, at my previous organization, I faced a challenge where the product owner seemed to undervalue bug fixes, leading to building up technical debt. So, this accumulation of technical debt resulted in delays during development and testing due to system crashes. So, in this kind of situation, the few actions I had taken in short and mid-term. So, let's discuss them one by one. So first is communicate with the product owner. So the first step is to have a conversation with the product owner to explain the importance of addressing the technical debt and the impact it can have on the product stability and the performance. So technical debt. This refers to the accumulation of unresolved issues and inefficiencies of our product code base. And if they left unaddressed, this pile of technical debt can make our product unstable and prone to errors, which can negatively impact our users' experience and can cause frustration and dissatisfaction. So, by resolving the technical debt, we can improve the stability and performance of the product and deliver a better experience to our users and ultimately improving the customer satisfaction and retention. So our team's ability to address the technical debt is critical to the long-term success of the product. And if the team members are pulled into other projects, our ability to resolve the technical debt will be hampered. And this can lead to accumulation of more technical debt and further delaying the resolution of existing issues. So it's important to allocate the necessary resources and capacity to address the technical debt to ensure that we maintain the quality and stability of the product and reduce the risk of the issues down the line. So technical debt can lead to the accumulation of bugs and issues in partially completed features and making it difficult or impossible to release these features to our users, and this can negatively impact our ability to meet user needs and business objectives, of course, and can ultimately harm our reputation and revenue. So by addressing the technical debt, we can ensure that partially completed features are free of bugs and issues and can be released to our users in a timely and efficient manner, improving our ability to meet the user needs and drive business success. You need to convince to dedicate one sprint to product owner. You need to convince how see, the pile of technical debt is making the product unstable and impacting our ability to deliver new features, and these technical debts can also lead to higher maintenance cost and more work down the line if left unresolved. So if we don't address these issues, we run the risk of team members being pulled into other projects, which will further delay the resolution of the technical debts and impact the stability of the product. So we need to dedicate one sprint to resolve the technical debt, to resolving the technical debt and focusing on the most critical and impactful issues first. So by doing so, we can improve the stability and performance of the product and reduce the risk of the bugs and issues down the line. So this one sprint may delay the release of new features, but it will help us deliver a more stable product to our clients in the long run, which will ultimately benefits the users and the company. Next thing which we can do after one sprint gone, so after that we can allocate 10 to 20% of the capacity. So the pile of technical debts is impacting the stability of the product, and partially completed features with the bugs cannot be released. So which is affecting our ability to meet the user needs and business objectives. So it's challenging to dedicate the entire sprint to resolving the technical debt, as we also need to deliver new features to stay competitive. However, we can allocate 10 to 20% of capacity to resolve the technical debt in each sprint, in each coming sprint. And by allocating a portion of our capacity to resolving the technical debt, we can gradually reduce the pile of the technical debts, addressing the most critical and impactful issues first. This approach will help us improve the stability and performance again of the product over time, and while still delivering new features and meeting the user needs. So over the time, as we reduce the technical debt, we will be able to deliver new features faster with fewer bugs, and reducing the maintenance cost and improving the overall quality of the product. Next thing which we can do is prioritize and plan. That is very important. So we can work with the development team to, I mean, as a Scrum Master, you can work with development team to prioritize the bug fixes and technical debt in the product backlog. This will help ensure that these issues are addressed in a timely manner. Other things which we can use is implement the automated testing to prevent further accumulation of technical debt and issues. So implementation of automation testing to catch any issues early in the development cycle is very important later on. Next thing which we can do is monitoring of the technical debt. So keep track of the technical debt and ensure that it is addressed as soon as possible. Make sure that importance of addressing it in a timely manner. So by taking these steps, it is possible to address the technical debt accumulation and improve the stability and performance of the product in the short and mid term. So this is what I implemented in the past to overcome a similar challenge as a Scrum Master. Hopefully this can be helpful to others who may be facing a similar issue. So now let's see the second question, which is, can you share an example of how you evaluate and maintain the health of a backlog? What metrics or indicators do you use to assess the backlog health? Okay, so let me share the example of how I evaluate and maintain the health of a backlog and the metrics or indicators I use to assess backlog health. So I use a variety of metrics and indicators to assess the health of a backlog, including user satisfaction. So first of all, let's discuss user satisfaction. I track user feedback and satisfaction scores to understand how well the product is meeting the user needs and whether the backlog is aligned with the user needs and expectations or not. Next, technical debt. I assess the backlog items for technical debt and track the backlog's technical health over time. And this helps me identify areas of the backlog that needs attention and prioritize them accordingly. Next comes the velocity. So for a product backlog to be in good health, it must contain enough user stories in the ready state with a cumulative number of story points greater than the average velocity. So if the total number of story points of user stories in ready state is about 2 or 3 times the average team velocity, then the product backlog is in even better health. Having more user stories in ready state, then that is too wrong, since it indicates too much planning upfront and negates the emergent nature of the product backlog. Next, age of backlog item. So I track the use of backlog item to ensure that they are not sitting in the backlog for too long without being addressed. So this helps me ensure that the backlog is current and up to date. Okay, so next, take action based on evaluation and metrics. So based on the evaluation and metrics, I take action to maintain the health of the backlog, such as prioritizing the item. So PO should prioritize the backlog item based on the business value, user needs, technical depth, and other relevant factors to ensure that the most important items are addressed first. Next point, refining backlog item. So work with the team to refine the backlog item to ensure that they are clear, concise and actionable, and that they align with the business goal and user needs. Next, removing the outdated item, that is also very important. So make sure that the outdated items from the backlog should be removed to ensure that it remains current and up to date, freeing up the space for new items that are more relevant to the current business goals and user needs. Next, addressing the technical debt. So make sure to allocate some capacity to address the technical debt and ensure that it's being resolved in a timely and efficient manner to prevent it from piling up and impacting the health of the backlog over time. So this is my approach to maintain a healthy backlog in the hope that it can be useful to others. Okay, so next question is, tell me about a time when you had to motivate and persuade a team with no prior Agile experience to embrace Scrum. What specific strategies did you employ and how did you overcome resistance from team members who were primarily focused on development tasks and reluctant to participate in meetings or progress monitoring? In past, when I was tasked with introducing Scrum to a development team with no prior Agile experience, I knew that it would require some effort to motivate and persuade them to welcome Scrum. So to achieve this, I start by having one-on-one chats with each team member to identify the root cause of their resistance to Scrum. I tried to find out what could bring their immediate attention and gain their immediate interest. So I presented some data also to prove my point. For example, I showed them how external interference bugs reported or the number of times stories gets changed when not using Scrum. So to lead by example, I began using Scrum practices and making sure that the team members understood the benefits by themselves. So I demonstrated how Scrum could make their work easier and more productive. So I help the team members to understand the benefits of the Scrum by starting with the basics and moving with the flow. So I emphasize the importance of each Scrum event and how they help in achieving the goal and bringing value to stakeholders. I also help the team by removing the impediments or blockers, if any, which show them that I was invested in their success. And to gain their trust, I provided training, coaching, and mentoring. I worked closely with the product owner to ensure a well-defined and prioritized product backlog. And by using these strategies, I was able to motivate and persuade the team to welcome Scrum fully. So they started working together more efficiently and delivered value to the stakeholders with the increased efficiency and collaboration. So the next question is, describe a situation where you provided Scrum training to stakeholders, but some colleagues were resistant to continuing with Scrum adoption due to encountering obstacles. What approach or strategy did you use to manage these situations based on your experience? So, I want to talk about a situation I encountered while providing Scrum training to stakeholders. So, some of our stakeholders were resistant to it, due to encountering obstacles. So I decided to take a step back and identify the root cause of this resistance. So I discovered that some stakeholders were not sure what value they were getting out of Scrum, and were not seeing results in the very first sprint. So it's important to know that Scrum is a long-term strategy and the benefits realized over time. So I had to help them understand the big picture and the long-term benefits of using Scrum. So one strategy I employed was active listening. I listened to their concerns and expectations, and then I addressed them accordingly. I explained that there would be challenges during the transition to Scrum, but that the J-curve model indicates that these challenges are temporary and that we would see significant benefits over long term. So another strategy I used was to employ Tuckman's model of group development. So I reminded everyone that storming stage is normal and that we can overcome this stage by working together and communicating efficiently. So overall, my approach to managing the resistance to Scrum adoption involved identifying the obstacles, actively listen to the concerns, and helping the team members understand the long-term benefits of using Scrum. By doing so, we will be able to successfully implement Scrum and achieve significant improvement in our workflow. And I hope this helps others to tackle these kind of situations. So next question is, can you describe how you would ensure the proper implementation of Scrum process if the product owner lacked the experience in Agile methodology and was reluctant to participate in Scrum events due to experience with waterfall projects? What actions would you take to address this situation as a Scrum Master? In one of my organization, I faced similar challenge. So how I handle this situation, let's discuss that. So as a Scrum Master, my priority would be to ensure that everyone in the team is aligned with the Agile mindset and understand the value of the Scrum process. And to achieve this, I would schedule a one-on-one session with the product owner to help them understand the process, the principles of Agile and the Scrum. So during this session, I would identify the root cause of the product owner's concern about Scrum and address them one by one. For example, if let's say the product owner has a negative experience with the waterfall approach in the past, so I would explain how Scrum is different and how it can help the team to deliver value faster and with higher quality. So I would emphasize the importance of each Scrum event, such as the daily stand-up, sprint review, sprint retro, and how they can help the team achieve their goals and bring the value to the stakeholders. I would also try to make the product owner understand the value of Agile from their point of view, such as how it can help them make informed decision about the product backlog. So if necessary, I would also highlight the problems that can arise in the absence of agile mindset, such as delays, increased cost, and decreased stakeholder satisfaction. So, to support the product owner in their transition to Scrum, I would collaborate with the team of the Scrum Master to provide training and support as needed, and this could include mentorship programs, pairing with the product owner with experienced Scrum Master, or arranging for additional training sessions. So finally, I would monitor the progress of the team and adjust the Scrum process as needed. And this would ensure that everyone on the team, including the product owner, is fully aligned with the Agile mindset and the Scrum process is implemented properly to deliver value to stakeholders. So in summary, my approach as a Scrum Master would be to educate and address the concern, emphasize the importance of each Scrum event, collaborate with the team, and monitor the progress to ensure the proper implementation of the Scrum process. So hope this helps when similar situation arises. So next question is, how do you determine whether the sprint velocity is functioning effectively? Can you describe a situation where you had to assess sprint velocity and take action to improve its effectiveness? So, to determine whether the sprint velocity is functioning effectively, the following steps can be taken, which we can see in the slide. First is measure the historical data. So, velocity is a measurement of historical data. So, it's important to track the velocity over time to identify the patterns and trends. Next is establish an upper and lower limit UL and LL for velocity. So this provide a range within which the team's velocity should ideally fall. So if the velocity is outside of this range, then it may indicate a problem that needs to be addressed. Next is look for excessive fluctuations. So while some fluctuations in the velocity are normal, excessive fluctuation could indicate underlying issues that need to be addressed. Next is investigate potential problems, of course. So if velocity is consistently outside of the established upper limit and lower limit, or if there are excessive fluctuations or outliers, it's important to investigate the potential problems. So this could involve looking at the team's process, identifying bottlenecks, and addressing any issues that are causing delays. And other important thing is to avoid forcing or encouraging the team to increase their velocity. So it's important not to put undue pressure on the team to increase their velocity, as this can lead to burnout and decreased quality of the work. Instead, it's better to focus on identifying and addressing underlying issues that may be affecting velocity. So in a situation where I had to assess the sprint velocity and take an action to improve the effectiveness, I would follow the steps outlined here. So I would first measure the historical data to get a baseline for the team's velocity, and then establish the upper limit and lower limit for velocity. And if the velocity is consistently outside of this range, or if there are excessive fluctuations, outliers, I would investigate potential problems and work with the team to address any issues that are identified. Throughout this process, it's important to avoid putting the undue pressure on the team as well to increase the velocity. So this can ultimately have a negative impact on the productivity and quality of the work. That's it. So next question is, what is your perspective as a Scrum Master on the process of obtaining a quality assured product? How do you ensure that the Scrum process is properly integrated with the QA process, and what steps do you take to optimize this integration? So to deliver a quality product, there are several checkpoints that should be in place to ensure that the product meets the desired level of quality. So here we can see some of the key checkpoints that can help to achieve this goal. First is definition of ready and modify whenever needed. So the DOR, it's a checklist of criteria that a user story must meet before it can be pulled into a sprint. So this checklist should be clearly defined and communicated to the team to ensure that all the user story meet the necessary criteria, and it should be reviewed and modified as needed to ensure that it is relevant and effective. Next is definition of done, DOD. Modify as the team gets mature. So DOD is a checklist of criteria that a user story must meet before it can be considered as done. So this checklist should be clearly defined and communicated to the team to ensure that all the user story meet the necessary criteria. and the DoD should be reviewed and modified as the team matures and gains more experience to ensure that it is relevant and effective. Next is ensure developers perform unit testing. Unit testing is the process of testing individual units or components of the code to ensure that they work as expected. So developers should perform unit testing as they develop the code to catch and fix the issues early. And this ensures that code is of high quality and meets the requirements specified in the DoT. Next point is ensure testers perform manual or automation testing. So testers should perform manual or automation testing to ensure that the product meets the requirements defined in the DoD, and this helps to identify any issues or bugs that may exist in the product and ensure that it is of high quality. Next is ensure the PO reviews the product. So the PO should review the product to ensure that it meets their requirements and that they are satisfied with the quality of the product. This ensures that the product is aligned with the goals of the business and meets the needs of the stakeholders. So, by implementing these checkpoints, teams can work together to deliver a quality product that meets the needs of the stakeholders and is of high quality. So, continuous review and improvement of these checkpoints can help to ensure that the process is effective and efficient, and this can lead to better products and a more productivity. So I trust that our discussion of these questions has provided all of us with the deeper understanding of the challenges that can arise and has equipped all of us with valuable insights for handling such challenges more effectively in the future. Thank you. Thanks for watching.